I'm Brian.
I'm Michelle.
And together we make up Integrated Visions Productions. For this project, we worked with visionary artist Kris to create a projection map sculpture. Kris designed a three-dimensional sculptural screen that we used as the surface for a video map projection show.
Throughout all of my styles, really the common thread through my work, paintings, drawings, or whatever, is geometry, and more specifically the geometry, it would be hexagonal geometry. For instance, my paintings, I start with a hexagonal grid, and I sort of use that for the underpinnings of what I build the painting on top of. If I don't use a hexagonal grid, I use a square grid, but the grid is sort of the launching pad, per se, or the foundation of what I build. And so for this project, we wanted to do something that incorporated that as well as their video mapping and the content that they generate. So where we started was with a hexagonal grid, and I worked with the hexagonal grid and sort of extracted a design that fit what I thought the idea for this project would be, and that is the screen that we have back there.
I worked with Kris to deconstruct that design in order to make it so that each separate panel is a separate piece. So after we deconstructed it, we took each piece and projected it onto the plastic. So after we projected it onto the plastic, we actually traced out each piece. After we finished tracing out the shapes, then we used the jigsaw to cut them out. After cutting out each piece, then we measured and we drilled holes for the mounts that we used to assemble the sculpture. As you can see, there's space between each panel. These mounts allow us to separate each panel and create actual three-dimensional depth. So after we assembled the final pieces, then I made a template in order to line up the video with the actual piece. This is a very tedious process because it's actually very detailed in terms of where the pixels hit the sculpture. So it was a pretty involved process to get that to line up exactly perfect. After the template was complete, Brian and I both used different software and techniques to produce content that created optical illusions on the surface of the sculpture.
For this project, I used mostly motion graphics and compositing techniques to create two-dimensional illusions mapped onto the surface of the sculpture.
An important part of the production process for me was creating a 3D model of the surface of the sculpture. Building a 3D model allowed me to sort of expand from that, and I built out points and shapes within that model. This video that you see here, I really enjoyed playing with the outer shapes and kind of imagining what kind of forms came out of that, and a lot like origami, the way that the origami is pushed and pulled in a very sculptural way. So I sort of envisioned how these shapes fit together within the outer shape, and then constructed a 3D model of that, and then took each point and actually pushed and pulled in a very sculptural manner, just kind of having fun with it and exploring the forms within the outer shape.
The sound really brings the sculpture to life. We chose to work with an old friend and collaborator, Adam Barfield from Athens, Georgia. Adam did all the sound design for this piece, creating all of the sound effects from scratch.